After a car accident, my parents forced my 9-year-old to be discharged early, refusing her treatment. "She'll be fine," they said, then dumped her in an empty house and drove off on a luxury vacation. I didn't shout. I took action. 3 days later, their lives started to unravel. I opened my eyes and saw my mom. Not a nurse, not a doctor. My mom, sitting right there like she belonged, her hand already resting on mine as if she'd been holding it for hours. For one stupid second, I let myself believe the story that sight was offering me. She stayed. She's been here. She cares. It didn't even match the mom I knew, which should have been my first clue. But when you wake up after losing days of your life, your brain grabs whatever comfort is closest and calls it truth. "What happened?" I managed. "You're in the hospital," she said softly. Calm. Prepared. "There was a car accident. You've been sleeping for a few days." The words didn't settle before one thought cut through the fog. "Ava," I rasped. "Where's Ava?" My mom didn't blink. "She's fine," she said quickly. "She was in the hospital at first, but she got discharged. She's at home now." Relief hit me so hard my eyes burned. "Oh my God," I whispered. "She's okay?" "She's okay," my mom repeated, smoothing it over like a wrinkle. "Everything's fine. You're safe. You're recovering." I believed her because I had to, because the alternative was unthinkable. And then her tone shifted, not dramatically, just enough to feel it. "So," she said, like we'd finished the emotional part and were moving on to errands, "we've been taking care of Ava while you've been out. And we need access to your money so we can pay for your daughter if she needs anything." I blinked at her. "My money?" "Just temporarily," she said, already confident I'd agree. "Prescriptions, food, whatever comes up. You can't manage that from here." There was no, "How do you feel?" No, "Are you in pain?" No, "I was scared I'd lose you." Just access. I tried to sit up and my body punished me for it, nausea rolling in, ribs sparking with pain. My mom leaned closer immediately, voice turning syrupy. "Honey, don't stress yourself. You've been through a lot. Just focus on healing. We'll handle Ava." "Can I talk to her?" I asked. Just for a minute. Can we call home?" "She's resting," my mom said instantly. "I won't upset her. I just need to hear her." My mom squeezed my hand like that counted as comfort. "She's fine. I promise. You need to rest." I hesitated. Everything in me wanted proof. A voice, a hello, anything. But I was weak, foggy, and terrified of pushing too hard and somehow making things worse. So when she asked again, patiently, gently, I gave her what she wanted. I gave her access. In the moment, it felt like protecting Ava, like doing the responsible thing. Later, I would understand it as the moment my mom stopped pretending this was about my daughter at all. My mom's shoulders loosened the second she got what she came for. She kissed my forehead, quick, practiced, then stood and smoothed her sweater. "I have to run," she said. "I need to take care of a few things." My mouth went dry. "Are you coming back?" "Of course," she said too fast. "I'll be back later. Try to rest." And then she left. Just left. At first, I waited like an idiot. I stared at the door. I watched the clock. I told myself a few things meant she was talking to a doctor, picking up Ava, buying food, doing something that made sense. Hours passed. No text, no call, no update. That night, I told myself she'd come in the morning. People don't just disappear after a promise like that. Surely, but morning came and my phone stayed silent. No visits, no calls, no messages asking how I was. So I did what I always did when I needed anything from my parents. I called them myself. My mom picked up on the third ring and sounded cheerful, like she'd just stepped out of Target and found a parking spot close to the entrance. "Hey, sweetie," she said brightly. "How are you feeling?" It took me a second to speak. Her tone didn't match my reality at all. "Where's Ava?" I asked. No hello. No small talk. "Can I talk to her?" "She's fine," my mom said immediately. "She's resting." "Put her on." A pause. Tiny, but enough to make my skin go cold. "She's asleep," my mom said. "It's the middle of the day," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "She's 9. "Megan," my mom sighed, like my fear was a minor inconvenience. "You're not thinking clearly. You need to rest. Don't upset yourself." "I'm not upset," I lied. My hand was shaking around the phone. "I just want to hear her voice." "She's at home," my mom repeated, smooth and bright. "She's safe. Everything's fine." Safe. Fine. Practiced. "Who's with her?" I asked. "Your dad," my mom said. "And Logan's been stopping by. We're handling it." Handling it. Like my child was a broken appliance. "Let me talk to her," I said again. "She'll talk to you later," my mom said quickly. "I have to go. Try to rest." Click. I stared at the dead screen and tried to tell myself I was overreacting. But the longer later stretched into nothing, the darker my thoughts got. At first it was just suspicion. What if she's not fine? Then it sharpened. What if discharged was just something Mom said because it sounded official? And then my brain did the worst thing it could do. What if something happened and they're keeping me calm until I'm stronger? I hate admitting that, but when you can't reach your child, your mind doesn't stay polite. By the next day, I was done waiting. When the doctor came in, I didn't dance around it. "I want to be discharged," I said. He looked up. "Today?" "I can't reach my daughter," I said. "My parents won't let me talk to her. They keep telling me she's fine, but I haven't heard her voice once." He studied me, my bandaged arm, the bruising, the way I was holding my ribs like they might fall apart. "I'd prefer you stayed longer," he said carefully. "You've had a significant trauma. You need rest and monitoring." "I know," I said, "but I need to see my child." A beat. He didn't like it, but he nodded. "If you insist, we can discharge you with instructions. If anything worsens, you come back immediately." "I will," I said, even though my head was already pounding. A few hours later, I was in a taxi, clutching paperwork, trying not to throw up every time we hit a bump. The whole ride home, I kept telling myself I was being dramatic, that Ava was fine, that my mom was just controlling in her usual way. But when I unlocked the front door, the house hit me with silence. Not quiet because people are asleep. Empty. "Ava?" I called. Nothing. I moved down the hallway, slow because my body didn't feel like mine. I pushed open the guest room door, and there she was, in bed, fully dressed, blanket pulled up to her chin like she'd been trying to disappear underneath it. Her eyes snapped to mine, wide, startled. For a second she didn't move, like she wasn't sure I was real. Then she made a sound that didn't belong in a child's throat and threw herself at me. "Mom!" She clung to me so hard it hurt. I didn't care. "I'm here," I whispered into her hair. "I'm here." She was shaking. "Baby," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Where is everyone? Why are you alone?" Ava's face crumpled. "Grandma said you were sleeping," she whispered. "She said I had to be brave." My stomach turned cold. "Tell me what happened," I said. "All of it." Ava wiped her nose on her sleeve, eyes down. "They took me out," she said softly. The doctor didn't want me to go home. My heart dropped. She said I had to stay, Ava whispered. But Grandma said it costs too much. She said there wasn't money. I stared at her, hands going numb. Who's been here with you? I asked. Ava hesitated. Uncle Logan came sometimes. Sometimes. He came at night, she said, but not all the time. He said he had class. Logan, 18. A student who lived nearby. Not a monster. Just not someone you leave in charge of an injured 9-year-old and call it parenting. And today? I asked. Was he here today? Ava shook her head. No, she whispered. I was just here. My vision blurred with rage. Does anything hurt? I asked, keeping my voice gentle with effort. Ava nodded. My side. And my head. Grandma said it was fine. She said I just needed to sleep. Okay. I was still weak, still dizzy, still barely holding my own body together. But I could do one thing. I called Tessa, my best friend. She answered immediately. Megan? My parents took Ava out of the hospital, I said. They left her. She's been alone. I need help. There was a beat of silence. Then Tessa's voice sharpened. I'm coming. Stay with her. Tessa arrived fast, and together we took Ava back to be checked. The doctor didn't yell, but his face tightened in that way that tells you exactly how close you came to disaster. She should not have been discharged, he said bluntly, and she absolutely should not have been left without competent adult supervision. Is she okay? I asked, knuckles white. She's lucky, he said. She's okay now, but this could have gone another way. I sat there watching Ava swing her feet above the floor, and something inside me went very still. At the time, I thought I knew the whole truth about what my parents had done. I was wrong. If you've ever been the invisible kid in your family, you know the exact moment you stop asking for things. You don't decide it out loud. There's no dramatic vow in the mirror. You just learn, one small humiliation at a time, that your needs are inconvenient. I was the middle child. My older sister Madison was 3 years older than me, and from the day she was born, she was treated like proof that my parents were doing life correctly. She smiled. They took pictures. She breathed. They congratulated her. My younger brother Logan came along much later, and he's always been the baby, the precious one, the one who just needs time. And me? I was useful. Occasionally. Mostly, I was background noise. One of the memories that still makes my jaw tighten happened when I was about 10, right before a family holiday. I'd fallen in our driveway the day before we were supposed to leave. I hit hard, shoulder first, and the pain was sharp enough to make my stomach flip. I remember sitting on the kitchen floor, blinking fast, trying not to cry, because my mom had already sighed once, and I knew exactly what that sigh meant. We are not canceling a trip over this, she'd said, without really looking at me. Madison was already bouncing around the house in her travel outfit, excited and glowing like the vacation was her birthright. My mom was doing her suitcase checks. My dad was focused on schedules and staying on time. They didn't take me to urgent care. They didn't call anyone. They didn't ask if I could lift my arm. They handed me a bag of frozen peas, parked me on the couch, and told me to rest. Then they left anyway. Not, we'll see how you are in the morning. Not, we'll adjust plans. Just gone. I spent that first day of their trip on the couch with one arm tucked against my chest, listening to the house creak and the freezer hum, trying to convince myself the reason I felt abandoned was because I was being dramatic. Fast forward to adulthood, and you'd think I would have grown out of the need to chase their approval. Spoiler, I didn't. I got married. I had Ava. I got divorced. And 3 years ago, right after the divorce, my parents insisted I move back in with them. "It'll save you money," my mom said. "We'll help you with Ava," my dad said. "It'll be good for you," Madison said, smiling like she was doing charity work. And I believed them, because part of me still wanted that sweet, stupid fantasy that they would finally show up for me the way parents are supposed to. The first month it seemed fine. Then they handed me the rent. And when I say rent, I mean a number that made my eyebrows shoot up like cartoon punctuation. It wasn't cover utilities. It wasn't contribute a little. It was a full-on monthly payment that kept creeping higher with every passing month. "You live here," my mom would say. "It's only fair." "We're helping you," my dad would say. "You'd pay more on your own." Except, I wouldn't have. I did the math. For what I was giving them, I could have rented my own place. A decent one, with walls that didn't come with guilt attached. But they had a way of talking that made you feel selfish for thinking in numbers. It wasn't, "We need money." It was family helps family. It wasn't, "We're charging you." It was, "We're supporting you." My ex, meanwhile, slowly disappeared like a bad signal. Less involved, less reachable, more excuses, until it was basically just me. And single mom life is a special kind of exhaustion. You can be making decent money and still feel like you're always one surprise away from drowning. Madison didn't understand that. Madison had her husband, Brandon. Madison had her 2 kids, Chloe and Mason, who were treated like royalty every time they visited. Chloe wanted a snack. My mom practically applauded her for existing. Mason coughed. My dad acted like he'd been struck by lightning. Ava? They were fine with Ava. Polite. Pleasant. Nothing overt. Nothing you could point at and say, "See?" But it was a feeling. A difference in tone. A subtle shift in enthusiasm. When I mentioned it once, carefully, my mom laughed. "Oh, Megan," she said, "you're imagining things. We love all our grandchildren equally." Sure, and I love salads equally to pizza. After the hospital, after Ava being home alone, after the doctor's face, after the realization that my parents had lied right to my recovering, half-conscious face, I did what I hadn't done in a long time. I looked. Not emotionally. Not spiritually. Not in the, "let's talk about our feelings" way. I looked at the facts. I opened my banking app, and there it was. A neat little parade of luxury, hotel charges, resort charges, the kind of transactions that come with words like spa package and premium suite baked into the price. It wasn't one dinner. It wasn't one emergency purchase for Ava. It was thousands of dollars, carved right out of my account like a celebration. And the names attached to the charges didn't say pharmacy or urgent care. They said vacation. My hands went cold. I scrolled. More charges. I did the math twice because my brain refused to accept it. It came to $5,600. They told me they needed access to my money for my daughter, but they used it on a luxury vacation for themselves. At the time, I thought that $5,600 was the damage. I didn't know it was just the first number I'd find. By the time the number sank in, I wasn't in shock anymore. I was in motion. Tessa drove. I sat in the passenger seat with Ava in the back. My head still throbbed. My ribs still hurt when I breathed too deeply, but anger is an incredible fuel source. Back at the hospital, I asked for records. Not politely, not timidly. I asked for documentation. I wanted proof my parents had done what Ava said they'd done. Proof she'd been discharged against medical advice. Proof someone else had signed. Because I knew how people like my parents worked. If you didn't have paperwork, it didn't happen. If you didn't have proof, you were being dramatic. So I got it. A nurse brought me what they could. A discharge summary. Notes. A signature line that wasn't mine. Ava sat beside me, swinging her legs while I stared at the paper, and I felt like I was reading a crime scene report. Then I opened my bank app again. I took screenshots of every charge, every merchant, every timestamp. And right there in the waiting room, I froze the card. One tap. Card locked. The feeling was almost surreal, like pulling a plug out of a wall and watching the lights go out on the other side. I changed passwords. I revoked access. I shut every little door I'd left open out of habit and guilt. Then I did the part people always say you shouldn't do. I went to the police. I walked in with my daughter and a folder of paperwork and enough anger to power a small city. I told them what happened. The discharge against medical advice. The child left without competent supervision. The money used for a vacation. And I said the words out loud. I want to file a report. I didn't say it like a threat. I said it like a fact. The officer took notes, asked questions, looked at the documents. Ava held my hand so tightly my fingers went numb. When it was done, they gave me confirmation. A case number. Proof that I hadn't imagined this. Proof that this wasn't just family drama. We went back to Tessa's place after that. I didn't want Ava sleeping in that house. Not yet. Not while everything felt like it could collapse again if I turned my back for 1 second. Tessa didn't make it weird. She didn't ask for details beyond what she needed. She just put clean sheets on her couch, made Ava hot chocolate, and told me, "You did the right thing." My mom's name lit up the screen. I stared at it for a second, because this was the first time she'd called me since she'd walked out of my hospital room, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't taken what she came for and vanished. Then I answered, because I already knew why she was calling, and I wanted to hear her say it. My mom's voice came through bright and annoyed. "Hi," she said. "Is there something wrong with your card? It's not working." In the background, I heard laughter, wind, clinking glasses, the dull roar of people having a wonderful time, the sound of a beach vacation. My jaw tightened. "No," I said. "I canceled it." Silence. Then, "You what?" "I canceled it," I repeated, voice steady. "You don't get to use my money anymore." "Megan," my mom said sharply, like I'd broken an unspoken rule. "Your nephew just wanted to do that thing, and now we can't pay. What are we supposed to do?" I could practically hear her gesturing wildly while Madison's kids played in the background. Chloe whining about something, Mason laughing, Brandon talking to someone like none of this mattered. I took a breath that hurt. "You told me you needed access to pay for Ava," I said. "For my daughter." "We do," my mom snapped. "No," I said. "You don't." Her voice went cold. "Don't be dramatic." I almost laughed. It came out like a choke. "You had my daughter discharged against the doctor's orders," I said. "I was at the doctor today. They said it was dangerous. Something could have happened." "She looked fine," my mom said immediately. "We saved you money. You should be grateful." Grateful? For what? For my child not dying by luck? "You abandoned her," I said, my voice shaking now. "You left her alone." "We did not abandon her," my mom snapped. "Logan was there." "Sometimes," I said. "Sometimes. And he's 18. He's a student. He's not a nurse. He's not a doctor. He's not an adult caretaker for an injured child." My mom made a sound of disgust. "This is unbelievable. After everything we've done for you, we didn't want you to be late on your rent payment." There it was. Not concern, not remorse. Rent. The thing I paid them. The thing they counted on. The thing they were terrified of losing. I could hear Madison laughing in the background, like this was all far away from her. I felt something in me go quiet. "You don't get another penny," I said. "Megan!" I hung up. I didn't shout. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I just cut the line. After that call, everything went quiet. For a few days, life did that strange thing it does after a crisis, like it tries to pretend it never happened. Ava slept more. She clung less. She started asking normal kid questions again, like whether she could have pancakes for dinner. My body healed slowly, but it did heal. The headaches eased. The dizziness faded. The bruises turned from angry purple to sickly yellow, and underneath all of it, there was this heavy stillness. Silence before the storm. Then, about a week later, my phone lit up with a message from my mom. "Your payment didn't come through. Call us." I stared at it for a long time. Then I answered once. Not because I wanted to talk, because I wanted to shut the door properly. "I don't live there anymore," I said when my mom launched into the mortgage panic. "I'm not paying you anymore." "What?" she snapped, like the concept offended her. "Megan, that money is for the mortgage. Not my problem," I said. "Not after what you did." "You're punishing us," my dad cut in, "after everything we've done for you." I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just ended the call. After that, it was messages only. "I can't believe you called the police on your own family. You've always been dramatic. This accident did something to your head. You're not yourself. You're unstable." Then the smear campaign started. It appeared in a family Facebook group like a bad smell you can't ignore. My mom wrote a long post about how worried they were about me, how I'd been in a car accident and wasn't behaving like myself, how I'd abandoned the family, taken Ava away, stopped contributing, and made accusations that didn't make sense. She implied I was unsafe, that Ava was unsafe, that I was having mental health issues, and because this is the world we live in, people believed her, at least at first. Relatives started calling, concerned voices, curious voices, judgment wrapped in fake sympathy. "Are you okay? What's going on? Your parents are really worried." At first, I ignored them, or I kept it short. "I'm fine." "This is private. Mind your business." But the pressure grew. The comments multiplied. The whispers turned into a narrative. So I did what my parents never expected. I told the truth where they couldn't control it. I went into that family group, hit create post, and for a full minute I just stared at the blank box. Because I knew the second I pressed publish, there was no going back to pretending this was a misunderstanding. Then I wrote it the way my mom always hates. Plain, specific, with receipts. I started with her words because my mother's favorite weapon has always been vagueness. My parents removed my 9-year-old from the hospital against the doctor's advice while I was unconscious. They left her without safe supervision. This is documented. A police report has been filed. Then I attached the hospital paperwork. Not the whole file, just the part with the discharge note and the not recommended language. The part that didn't care about anyone's feelings. Then I posted the numbers, because they'd been leaning on the same lie for years. "We supported you." "Okay, let's do math then." For the last 3 years, I'd been paying them what they called rent. Sometimes they said it was rent. Sometimes they called it help. Sometimes it was contributing. It changed depending on which version made them look best. The amount didn't change, though. It was $2,750 a month. I paid it for 36 months. That's $99,000 in rent alone. On top of that, there were the little add-ons that weren't little at all. Utilities they insisted I cover, groceries I paid for, emergency transfers when they were short. So I wrote, total paid to mom and dad since moving in, $99,000 in rent alone. That's before utilities and extras. And then I added the part they really didn't want anyone seeing. While I was in the hospital and my child was at home, my card was used for a luxury vacation. I froze the card after $5,600 in charges. I didn't write paragraphs about how betrayed I felt. I didn't need to. The numbers did it for me. Because here's what I've learned about people like my parents. You can survive being called dramatic. You can survive being called unstable. You can even survive being called a bad daughter. But you can't survive screenshots. The comment section went quiet so fast it was honestly impressive. One aunt commented, "Oh." Then she deleted it. Someone else wrote, "Is this real?" Like I'd staged a hospital document for fun. My mom's original post stayed up for maybe an hour after that, and then, mysteriously, it disappeared. Like it had slipped on a banana peel and fallen off the internet. And then my phone started ringing again. Not from my parents, from relatives. Same people who'd called to check on me suddenly had a different tone. "Okay, we didn't know. I'm sorry, Megan. I thought, are you and Ava safe?" A few of them actually apologized. Not the dramatic kind. The small, uncomfortable kind that means, I realize I backed the wrong side and I'm trying to quietly reverse the car. For a second I thought, that's it. It's over. And that's the thing about my family. Every time I think I've reached the bottom, there's another trap door. Because the call that came next didn't just change the conversation. It changed the entire shape of my life. It came in on a Tuesday afternoon while Ava was coloring at Tessa's kitchen table, humming to herself like nothing in the world could touch her. My phone buzzed. Logan. My little brother almost never called. Logan texted. Logan sent memes. Logan responded to serious situations with LOL, that's wild. So when I saw his name, my stomach tightened before I even answered. "Hey," I said. There was a pause, like he didn't know how to start. I saw your post," he said. "Yeah." Another pause. Then he exhaled, fast. "Megan, I'm confused." That was the first time I heard something in his voice that wasn't teenage laziness or joking. It was careful, like he was stepping onto thin ice. "You were paying them rent?" he asked. I let out a short laugh that wasn't funny. "A lot of rent." "Why?" he said, genuinely baffled. "Why would they charge you rent for your own house?" I didn't answer at first because my brain rejected the sentence on impact. "My own—" I swallowed. "Logan, it's their house." "No," he said, and he sounded so sure it made my skin prickle. "It's not." I sat down slowly, like my legs had decided they weren't optional anymore. "What are you talking about?" "The house," he said. "It belongs to us. You, me and Madison. It was inherited." My mouth went dry. "That's not true," I said automatically, because it had to be. Because if it wasn't, then I'd been living in a lie so big I couldn't even see the edges. "It is," Logan insisted. They were basically trustees when we were underage, but we're the beneficiaries. That's what Dad said once. I thought you knew." I stared at the wall. Ava's humming drifted in from the kitchen like a different universe. "I didn't know," I said, voice going thin. Silence. "Oh," Logan said quietly. I didn't realize you didn't know." I gripped my phone tighter. "Logan, are you sure?" "Yes," he said. "I heard them talking about it. I thought it wasn't a secret." A sick feeling rolled through me. Not shock exactly. Not even disbelief. Recognition. Because it fit. It fit too well. My parents insisting on rent that was higher than it should have been. The way they talked like I owed them for existing in their house. The way Madison smirked when I tried to complain. The way Logan never seemed to know the details. Because Logan was 18 and no one ever burdened Logan with reality. "Okay," I said, forcing air into my lungs. "Okay. I'm going to check. I'm going to verify it." "Please," Logan said, and his voice cracked just slightly. "Because if that's true, that's insane." He didn't say the part out loud. If that's true, they robbed you in a way you can't even measure. We hung up, and for a long time I didn't move. Tessa came in, took one look at my face, and didn't ask for a gentle explanation. "What?" she said flatly. "Did they do now?" "Apparently," I said, my voice sounding like it belonged to someone else. "The house doesn't even belong to them." I sat there for a second, staring at nothing, and then I did the only thing I could do next. I started verifying everything, quietly, carefully, and with receipts. I'm not going to drag you through the months that followed, lawyers, forms, deadlines, and the kind of hold music that makes you consider living in the woods. Just know that while I was helping Ava feel safe again, I was also pulling on one loose thread that turned out to be the whole sweater. Logan was right. The house was never Mom and Dad's. It belonged to the three of us, me, Logan, and Madison. Our parents were trustees when we were kids. They just never mentioned that detail to the one child they were charging rent to live there. And 5 years earlier, they'd taken out an equity loan using that house, putting my name on the paperwork. Except I hadn't signed a thing. Once the forgery was proven, the bank couldn't take the house because you can't foreclose on collateral that was never legally pledged. So the bank went after the people who created the fraud, my parents, and demanded their money back. They found it. Retirement accounts I didn't even know existed. Investments. Everything they'd claimed they didn't have. Gone. The reports didn't disappear either. Child endangerment and fraud don't get fixed with a Facebook apology. There were charges, fines, and community service, plus the kind of reputation collapse you can't come back from. We sold it for $540,000. After fees, my third was $168,000. My parents got nothing from that sale, because it was never theirs. On top of that, I receive $900 a month in repayments now, automatic and unromantic, like karma on auto-pay. A year later, Ava and I live in our own place. She's safe. I'm stable. I still talk to Logan. I don't talk to my parents. I don't talk to Madison. So, what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe.